What a way to start the Jeff Dubay Show on a Twins Tuesday. We are live at Floyd's in Victoria. And as the show opens, I got my mouth full of onion petals. I sit down and open up the Floyd's menu. And the first thing I see is a BLT with a half pound of bacon. I mean, I didn't need to read on. I mean, it was a done deal. Sealed deal at that point. Half pound of bacon and onion petals, which are basically onion rings. I'm eating them right now. This place is amazing. We've been here for, maybe an hour or so, 45 minutes. And I'm already absolutely in love with Floyd's in Victoria. It's easy to get to. Highway 5 west out Eden Prairie. You're here in 5 minutes.
And you're there, yep.
Very, very easy to get here. It's right on Victoria basically has one intersection, and Floyd's is on it. So you can't miss it. I mean, you really cannot miss it. But anyway, as I was saying, I'll stop eating for just a second.
Yeah, please.
It is the Jeff Dubay Show. I'm Jeff Dubay. That's Ted Schwetzler. That is Brandon Warren. This is Jason McGovern. It's Twins Tuesday. I know that this is not the hottest topic around right now because this squad is struggling badly. They're 1-6.
Not on?
Nope. We all right? Hello?
It's on. You can tell. All right, keep going.
All right, well, anyway.
We'll figure out the volume.
I just spit all over your computer. Onion. Did you say a chunk of onion that I just projectiled right onto your computer?
No.
Sorry about that, dude. Anyway, Twins off to a 1-6 start, and it's hard to find a positive right now. Yesterday's home opener was an absolute disgrace. To watch the bullpen come in and melt down to the level at which they did, it just blew my mind. And I mean, for some reason, I'm mildly intrigued. Well, I'll tell you the reason why I'm mildly intrigued with J.D. Graham is because he's a power arm. I mean, he's hitting 96 on the gun yesterday, and we got a stingy gun. We got a stingy gun at Target Field. If you're hitting 96, you're legit. But how can a guy come in with the bases loaded and throw up and in, hit a guy in the hands with his first pitch? I mean, what the hell is he thinking? I mean, to me, that was. I mean, Dunsey was bad enough to go ahead and hit Gordon on the thigh with his first pitch. But for Graham to come in with the base, and I know that they don't want to bring anybody into that type of situation, bases loaded, especially a guy like Graham. But how do you come inside on the first pitch? How do you come up and in like that? It was ridiculous.
I just think he was amped up. He came in and obviously he's put into a pretty tough situation. Especially, it's so puzzling too. He's 7 games into the season. He's already pitched 4 times. This is a Rule 5 guy with a history of arm injuries, and somehow he's become their go-to guy out of the pen. I can't really understand what's going on there. But at the same time, he brings a little bit of heat and a little bit of gas, and that's completely different than what they're getting from anybody else.
And I think some of it, too, is, the fact that he is coming from Double-A. He probably doesn't have a great handle, really, on where he's looking at either. He's never been above that Double-A level. And like you said, Brandon, I mean, he throws gas. That's something that's kind of like a brand new toy to the Twins. They don't have that in the bullpen. So you got a guy coming in throwing hard who also doesn't really have an idea of where the ball's going to go. It's probably going to be problematic more often than not. The fact that we haven't seen it in the first 4 games, I guess testament to him overcoming that.
He's the kind of guy that gets amped up. He even admitted as much. He's the guy that gets amped up, gets a little excited to come into the game. Obviously, as a first-time big leaguer, too, he gets excited. And the funny thing was...
He's a little goofy.
That Rios had any reason to believe it was intentional. Bases loaded. There's no way a rookie's got a vendetta against, like, a 12-year veteran. Now, the worst part was that it came out today that he actually broke his finger or whatever, so he's out for, like, a month now.
And was that... I saw you, talking with people on Twitter today about that. Was Rios on record saying that he thought it was intentional prior to breaking his hand, or was it immediately he thought he was being thrown at?
I don't think it was. I don't know that he necessarily. I think he was just frustrated.
I think so.
I think he felt what happened and was just frustrated.
And then wanted somebody to pin it on. Yeah,
even just it really hurt, and he's ticked off. And the Royals have been hit like 12 times now through 7 games. This is unbelievable.
Well, the pitchers got to start protecting the lineup. They got to start coming back.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I mean, they're unbeaten. They're beating people as is. There's no reason for them to get embroiled in a beanball war. I mean, I can see what you're saying if they thought they were being thrown at specifically.
Right.
But Dunsing missed a spot. J.R. Graham did, I don't know, just something a rookie does.
Well, and Dunsing missing a spot, I mean, put some dirt on it,
Yeah, exactly.
Big deal.
And he hit him in the thigh. I mean, Gordon's a pro. He's not stupid. He knew it was not intentional. He took his base.
But now missing Rios for a month is big for the Royals team.
That is. But I don't mean to turn this into the J.D. Graham show, but he's intriguing and he's alarming at the same time. Like you said, he's young. He's at a level he's never been at. But anytime you got a guy who can come out of the bullpen throw 96, you take a look.
You take a long. He's found money though. I mean, he's not somebody they've got a lot of equity in, and if he crashes and burns, big deal.
And I think that's what you're going to see more often than not with him this year. In the fact that he's a Rule 5 guy, the Twins probably should be hiding him in their bullpen, where, like you said, they've been using him 4 out of 7 games.
Hide him. And
their bullpen's so bad you can't hide him. But I think that's kind of the guy you're going to get until he either makes it or gets sent back to the Braves. You're going to be on pins and needles every time he comes in because you don't know what you're going to.
And here's the concern. Here's how it's become impossible to hide anybody in the bullpen. When the season was 3 days old, you've lost your top 2 innings guys off your starting rotation. I mean, already gone. I mean, Santana before it ever started, and then Nolasco after 1 start. So I mean, along with Hughes, those are going to be your 2 big innings eaters. So your bullpen's going to be stressed to begin with, and it's one of those deals where it's everybody at TK say everybody grab an oar. I mean,
and
you can't hide anybody now.
Not to mention you're trying to hide and stress guys that aren't in a position where they can handle that in the first place. I mean, when you're running Blaine Boyer out there as a 7th inning guy, that's a high stress situation. You're in over your head before you even start. Yeah. I mean, the guy hasn't pitched in the major leagues consistently for his entire career.
Your bullpen innings guys stink right now. Stauffer, Boyer, Dunsing, all just a debacle status right now, and until that changes, you're going to see a disaster out there.
It wasn't up until yesterday. I think Graham was the only guy that didn't have an ERA.
Maybe Perkins, because he only worked once.
Yeah, maybe Perkins, but I mean, everybody gets hit, especially Boyer. Boyer has been a debacle, and I didn't see that coming. I mean, to the extent of him being bad.
I mean, the Twins have given up, I believe, 17 runs from the bullpen. Kansas City's given up 0. I mean, you've got the 2 polar opposite bullpens at Target Field right now for this series, and I can't help but to think back to it. And this is not a shot. I'm not getting critical, but it just cracks me up that the 2 teams we thought would take a step back, Detroit and Kansas City, are the 2 that just charge out of the gate.
And they both look great. They both look in a spot. I mean, the Rios thing definitely hurts the Royals, but they both look like they could beat anybody right now in a long series.
The rest of the division is going to be fantastic, and if the Twins get buried early, it could get really ugly, and that's what we're seeing right now. It's not pretty, and it's not like it's going to be this kind of deal the whole season long. But at the same time, if they get embarrassed by these teams on a regular basis, it could get ugly for the fans. It could get ugly. I mean, everybody involved is just not good.
It was ugly on Monday. I mean, Monday was the home opener was one of the worst baseball games anyone should have ever seen. I mean, it was ugly everywhere around the field. Poor at bats, poor defensive fielding ability, poor pitching on the mound. I mean, that was bad baseball. It wasn't just a bad team. That was embarrassing baseball.
And I don't mean to go to the excuse card for him here, but I really believe that they were counting heavily on Pelfrey to be a tentpole in that bullpen. I mean, I think that they were counting on him to be a go-to guy in that group. I mean, not just in terms of his ability, but also, I mean, he's out there sitting next to kids who are a little, he's a calming influence out there. I think that taking him out of the bullpen really weakened this team.
And it's easy to forget. You look at the final score; it was just a 2-run ball game heading into the late innings too, and there was reason for optimism. When you talk to Molitor at the end of the game, you hear him say, "Yeah, we just needed to get a couple guys going, one thing or another," and we were right there. And they pulled Stauffer, and it just kind of was a disaster from that point on, and nobody could get outs, and nobody could catch the ball. Start hitting some guys, start walking some guys, and a couple bleeders get in. Your outfield doesn't catch the ball, and it's a game where you can go from close to a disaster at the drop of a hat, and that's exactly what you saw yesterday.
It did snowball. I mean, the defense fell apart.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think I've been critical of the Torrey Hunter signing from the get-go. He is what he is as a defender. He's not a good defensive outfielder, but he wasn't a great defensive outfielder when he was winning Gold Gloves either. The point that his bat hasn't shown up just is a bigger issue right now in the grand scheme of things, because you're getting nothing from him. And to go off of a scenario yesterday where he misses what looked like a routine fly ball and then makes it a bigger issue by not even looking where he's throwing the ball in. You want to bring a guy in like that to be a mentor, and that's the example he's giving to kids that are down on the farm. It's just the best thing that happened yesterday for Torrey Hunter was his introduction. I mean, really.
I mean, the thing that I took away from that play that he botched was deking the runners to try to pretend he was going to catch the ball. That's kind of a thing, keep guys from taking up on you, picking up bases. The issue is where his throw went, and he was trying to get rid of the ball quickly. That makes sense. The guy's running third, you get rid of the ball quickly. Maybe you can hold that guy at third. Where that plan goes awry is where the throw went to, the middle of the infield. Like, that's not the most direct path to home plate if you're trying to cut that run down. So that not only do you give up that run, but you allow the runner to move up to third. And he made up for it with the sac fly that he hit to the warning track, a couple innings later or whatever to bring Dozier home. But at the same time, you break that play down, and the further you dig into it, the further from what should have happened. It goes through your mind. It's just kind of hard to figure out what the heck he was thinking on that play.
And the more you look at it, too, the Twins' infield as a whole, as a collective on their play, didn't look like they were in the game either. I mean, Dozier did fake a throw to home on that play, which he knew he had no chance at catching that relay ball, so that was his, trying to hold the runner. But both Plouffe and Santana sat and looked at the ball roll. I mean, neither of them were backing up what you can see as an
Plouffe has to cover
throw.
the base.
Right, Plouffe does, but, I mean, neither of them moved until the ball is rolling.
Yeah, I mean...
You need to back... that was just an ugly baseball play as
it was a snowball fight.
Yeah.
But once things start going the wrong way, they get bad in a hurry. With the young team, and you don't have a pitcher who can come in and restore order. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, Twins teams in the past have always had go-to guys in the bullpen who can come in and restore order to a game. I mean, once it turns into mayhem, once it turns into chaos, right now the Twins are adrift.
And that's why building the roster like they did is complete nonsense, because you went and got these veteran guys that are supposed to save you from that, and it's not even it's not doing anything. And you can say it's a young roster, and then you look at the numbers and it's actually an old roster. It's because there's such a rift between the core young guys and then the old guys that are supposed to save them, and that brings your average up. So when you look at the starters in the infield, you can say, oh yeah, they're young. Trevor Plouffe's still under 30, Brian Dozier under 30, Danny Santana actually quite a bit younger than that. They're young in certain important positions, but they're old everywhere else, and it doesn't make any sense, like, what the direction is there.
And there's no doubt about it that bullpen pitching is one of the worst problems for this Twins team. And if you look at the bullpen pitching and where Molitor has said each of these guys kind of fits in, Boyer in the seventh, Stoffer is long, no other team has those guys penciled in those spots. Molitor's just shooting from the hip because that's what he has out in his bullpen. None of those guys ideally fit that role, and I think that's what we saw yesterday where, you have a problem and you just go out there and get guys after one guy after another because, okay, that guy didn't work, let's go get another guy. That guy didn't work, let's go get another guy. Because none of them have real defined roles, and none of them can live up to the role that they're pitching in.
This is really antithetical for how the Twins have typically done things. Because one thing they could always do is construct a bullpen. Whether it was TK, whether it was Gardy. I mean, you could I don't want to say scrap heap guys, but I mean, journeyman at best. We talked about this before, like Renicky, that kind of a guy.
Jared Burton. Casey Fiend.
Yes, yeah, and you can find these kind of guys. And basically, I dropped my phone like 5 times already this year. We don't have table space, but you find guys that you find matchups for, and TK and Gardy and Rick Anderson, they were good at massaging the guys through some stretches. And basically, what I mean by that is, a guy some of the guys you mentioned. Well, Jared Burton wound up being pretty big time for a little while, but a guy like Renicky, you would not want him to just go out there in the 8th inning and get the heart of the order. He's not that kind of guy. But you find a spot, and in the 7th inning we got the 7 and 8 guys. They're right-handed. He can get this guy. It should be a good matchup from him.
It's like Brian Bass back in the day, 7-8 years ago.
I mean, but you just find matchups. You say, okay, he can get this guy out, he can get this guy out, but that's all he's going to get. And it doesn't even have to just be a lefty versus lefty or a righty versus righty thing. You just find spots where a guy has a chance. And just to put it simply, TK used to always just call it put guys in position to succeed. But you can always just kind of find a way to massage your way through those middle innings. But you always had to have a power arm in the 8th and a power arm in the 9th, and they did. I mean, they had like Crane setting up Nathan, whatever. I mean, there was always something at the back end that was anchoring the whole thing. And you still do have Perkins. But I don't know. There are no clearly defined roles out there. There are no go-to guys, and there's nobody. You just need, and here's where Pelfrey would have been good out there. When things start to unravel, you need a guy who's going to come in and restore order to a ball game. I mean, once it starts to unravel with a team like the Twins and pitchers that aren't going to get the ball over the plate out of the bullpen, it just falls apart in an instant, and that's what happened yesterday.
You brought up Pelfrey twice now, and I think Brendan and I are both along the same lines of thinking that he would be a very good or at least competent reliever, and I'm a little bit starting to worry that after what we saw in Chicago, we might have seen one of his best starts of the season, and if he goes downhill and if things go poorly in the rotation because of how it worked out, because he was put in the bullpen in the first place and kind of, fought his way back to the rotation, I don't know that the Twins go back to that route again. I don't know if he's, DFA'd or traded or something. I don't see a scenario where, hey, Mike, you aren't making it work in the rotation. Let's go back to the bullpen. The blow-up that it had the first time halfway down the season doesn't seem like something that would be conducive to a good idea.
The other thing that is an issue is if Pelfrey falls out of the rotation, there are people to leapfrog over for opportunities in the bullpen, whether you look at AAA where a bunch of guys are throwing good out of the gates, the young kids, and then...
He's kind of missed his window.
I mean, it's possible. I still don't know that that's for sure. And I still think, he was obviously hitting 96 on the U.S. Cellular gun in that first start. And I've been told that now stadium guns are all normalized. They have to be standardized. They have to be standardized to pitch effects, which is the pitch tracking system that MLB Advanced Media uses. So 96 is legit 96. It's no more Detroit with Joel Zumaya throwing 103. Yeah. It's standardized. So
that was a joke.
That 96 was a legit 96 when J.R. Graham hit 96 4 or 5 times yesterday. Legit 96. That in short bursts out of the bullpen, you get some ground balls, you get some strikeouts. You can make a really nice reliever out of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But it makes me think that maybe the move should have been. I know you're trying. Your mother. You're in your first year as manager. You're trying not to, gift anybody a job. You wanted to make them earn jobs out of spring training. Still, I might have dipped into that AAA starting rotation and kept Pelfrey in the bullpen.
So Trevor May out of the gates.
Yeah, I might have.
Yeah, then you might be turning to Alex Meyer by now with the start May made yesterday. That's a lot of pressure for a young kid to make his first major league start in opening day.
I just think you need a bell cow in the bullpen. I just think you need something out there.
You got to quit screwing around. Is the fact of the matter is they got to quit screwing around.
And that's what it's boiled down to in the bullpen is they're trying to play pin the tail on the donkey with a bunch of guys blindfolded throwing darts
and no pin.
Right, and hoping that one of them lands. But the problem is none of them are a high enough success rate to the point where even if one pans out, you have 5 guys that are getting lit up on a nightly basis. That can't happen.
The plan was never for Graham to throw high leverage innings this early.
It is. No. And I also can't believe it's the best case scenario for a first-year manager, a first-year bullpen coach, and I don't. What's the pitching coach experience on this team? I mean, what's this
Neil Allen was a AAA.
But the bottom line is your pitching triumvirate is all first year in their current. I mean, at the major league level.
Yeah, well, basically the entire staff, with the exception of Joe Vavra, who's still in the building.
But I mean, we're dealing specifically with fixing the bullpen now. Yep. I mean, this is not a seasoned brain trust when it comes to handling a bullpen and handling a pitching staff.
Which is weird because you've got that split between the front office, who is probably the oldest front office in baseball in terms of continuity. The problem is if you don't clean house all at once, they've put lipstick on a pig for years and years and years. What happens is guys like Tom Bernansky can lose their job. Guys like Jerry White can lose their job when they don't deserve it. Now, when you bring in a new manager, now obviously they stayed in-house with Molitor, he's already got to bring along some of the old guys. You don't get to pick your whole staff. Most teams will just clean house. They'll go front office, they'll go manager, they'll go everything. And the Twins are just kind of doing it in cycles, just how they want to do it. Now what happens if Terry Ryan steps down at the end of the year? Maybe they lose 95 games and he's done. Because I don't think they'll fire him. But let's just say he's done. Do you hire somebody from within? Do you hire somebody from the outside? And then does that person want to fire Paul Molitor? I mean, it's a disastrous situation brewing right now, even early in the season.
Yeah, it is. It does have the potential. I mean, we've hit the iceberg. I'm not sure there's enough lifeboats. And it's I tell you what, just 1-6, just a week and change into the season. And there's nothing much other than, like you said, the one Malone start. There's nothing much to hang your hat on.
Torrey said 1-6 during the pregame presser yesterday, so he was being a prophet, I guess. Wow. Yeah, wow. I guess he was being prophetic.
Yeah, wow. Well, let's get our first break in. This is Jeff Dubay Show. It's a Tuesday. It's a Twins Tuesday. We are at Floyd's, and what a great place. We're outside in this phenomenal patio. The inside's got the inside of the patio, like it's half covered, half outside. It's kind of got like the Caribbean vibe, kind of a Caribbean feel. It's very,
I like it.
Very cool. cool, very laid back. And I'm eating a BLT right now that has a half pound of bacon. Angioplasty.
How are you feeling?
Extra.
How are you feeling right
Fantastic, like $1 million. This is how I live. This is not. There's nothing new for me. But we'll be right back.
Join longtime radio personality and producer Kelly Guest and friend, CEO of Fantasy Gifts, Colleen Bertino, as they talk about all things sex, men, women. Lend them your ears and learn everything you wanted to know about sex and intimacy. Only here on the Alive and Social Network. With Suhan Unfiltered, sports columnist for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Jim Suhan presents in-depth conversations with the best writers and sports personalities in the area. Suhan brings professional journalism flavor without the verbal censoring. Find out what unfiltered really means. Only on the Alive and Social Network. SuhanUnfiltered.com.
We're back. Buffy. Jeff Dubay Show, Twins Tuesday. Jeff Dubay, Ted Schwetzler, Brandon Warren, Jason McGovern. Gentlemen, go ahead and plug where people can read your stuff.
Go for it.
At Brandon_Warren on Twitter. Cold Omaha's blog on 105 The Ticket, which I covered the Twins game for yesterday. Fangraphs on Fridays. And the Sports Post every single day with starting pitching matchups. So keeping real busy doing that.
At TL Schwerz on Twitter, and then offthebaggy.blogspot.com. Good place to find all of it.
Before the digital age, what the hell was an underscore for? I mean, before like email and Twitter, did anybody ever use an underscore for anything?
Maybe like to underline it, like to underline. I don't know.
But that's underline, not underscore.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's just the whole underscore thing. It pisses me off.
I love how kids now think the hashtag is like not the number sign. It's just a hashtag.
It's new. Really? It's a new thing.
Yeah,
you didn't know that?
I don't know. I'm just. To be honest with you, I'm surprised that this particular old dog has learned as many new tricks as he has. I mean, I'm not that social media savvy, but I'm not. I'm not as dumb at it as
I thought he was going to say I'm not that old, but no, he didn't.
Well, I am that old.
He didn't take that road.
No, I am that old. I'm 47. Jesus Christ! But
God, you are old.
Well, you know what? I have to admit, though, if it wasn't for my friend Dan Edwards. You guys know Dan?
I saw Dan at the ballpark yesterday.
Good dude.
Good man.
Really good dude. If it wasn't for my buddy Dan Edwards getting me started, I would have never done social media. It was a couple years ago, and I was sitting in on the K-Twin Morning Show with Eric Perkins for a couple weeks. And Dan couldn't believe I didn't have a Twitter account.
He's producing at KARE 11 now. Yeah,
good for him.
He actually got me on Easter with Dave Schwartz. I got to be on TV. It was kind of fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's get back to the dreary topic at hand. That is Minnesota Twins baseball. You guys thought the division was going to be competitive going in. I'm spitting onion peels everywhere right now. They're so good, but I can't stop eating them. You knew it would be competitive going in, but you thought that maybe the playing field had been leveled a little bit, maybe a little bit more wide open. Now, the danger in baseball, people always overreact to the short term. I mean, people freak out over what happens over a week or two or even a month, and you just can't do that in baseball. And we're trying not to do it here. But, I mean, there's reason to believe that things will continue to go in the direction that they're going. That the top and the bottom of this division will be very divergent paths. But I mean, how much is it fair to reassess what this division looks like a week later? Now that we've seen it in action.
No, from a local standpoint, you have to, because 400 innings from the Twins rotation are disappeared for right now. I mean, you're obviously going to recoup some of those innings as the season goes on. But if you dig such a big hole that it doesn't even matter, there's the law of diminishing returns comes into play where, maybe they were going to give you 100 innings each or 150 innings from Nolasco after he gets healthy. But if you dig such a big hole that you're just getting destroyed and your bullpen's worn out, you don't get that back when your bullpen gets worn out to a certain point. You can't just rest guys for a week at a time or anything. So, I mean, I think you have to reassess what you thought the Twins were going to do at the beginning of the year when you thought maybe it was a 72 or 74 win ball club. Now maybe you're a 68, 66 win ball club and, threatening the fringes of 100 losses. Now, I don't know that we're quite on that point yet, and I think they'll get better as the season goes on as they bring kids up. But at the same time, it's bad. It's really bad right now.
I think that's probably my biggest frustration or reassessment so far is that I really bought into the entire innovation thinking that even though Molitor was kind of cut from the same cloth, he wasn't really like a Terry Ryan Minnesota Twins guy.
Sounds exactly like Terry Ryan when he talks.
Yeah, he is.
Exactly.
You could tell me Ron Gardenhire is in the dugout, and it wouldn't make a lick of difference because Paul Molitor from spring training said, I'm looking at batting Joe Mauer. Something as simple as I'm looking at batting Joe Mauer second, Brian Dozier third. That lasted one game. He hasn't done anything different with the
infielders in the outfield again.
He hasn't done anything different with the bullpen. Eduardo Escobar has played multiple games in the outfield already.
And Nunez, too.
And Nunez. I mean, it's the same kinds of things that have gotten you 40 or 4 seasons of 90 losses the last 3 years or 4 years. How can you do that and expect different results?
Well, I think his whole MO right now is that I'm not going to rush things for a season that's not going to be anything anyway. I mean, he does it.
And to a certain extent, that's fair.
I mean, Jordan Schaefer's in center field right now as a placekeeper. And that's better than having a raw Byron Buxton.
Without a doubt, maybe. But I think
4 hits yesterday.
But I think that you need to have guys with higher ceilings in those spots. You cannot tell me that Aaron Hicks can't play a better center field
3 hits yesterday.
Jordan Schaefer. Aaron Hicks deserves to be this team's center fielder. You can't tell me.
You think so, really?
Without a doubt.
I don't think he deserves to.
Both those guys missed the cycle by home runs yesterday.
I cannot get off that soapbox enough that Aaron Hicks got demoted to Double-A last year.
Well, deserves is the wrong word, though. Deserves makes it sound like he earned it. He didn't earn
maybe
it.
not, but
he's the most talented.
There's nothing else.
He went to Double-A last year,
That's
played
correct.
through Double-A and Triple-A for the first time in his career, and he killed both of those levels. He batted like 291. He has never gone from Double-A to Triple-A previously. Because he had a bad spring with some mental lapses, you're going to take Jordan Schaefer and Shane Robinson north.
That's
not the only reason.
Fine, I get the mental lapses, but the reason he was promoted in the first place was a good spring training. So you're overvaluing a month way too much. Jordan Schaefer has 5 years of mediocrity at the major league level.
What does Aaron Hicks have at the major league level?
Mediocrity too, but
his
ceiling is so much higher. How do you go with a bad team and say, hey, let's take Blaine Boyer, Jordan Schaefer, Shane Robinson, Tim Soffer, all these guys with mediocre ceilings when you have Aaron Hicks, Michael Tonkin, AJ Octor, all these guys that, maybe they give you the same thing, but there's also the possibility they give you an elevated roof, and that's what the Twins aren't doing right now.
But I would say, how do you take a guy north who doesn't do anything you want him to do, he's been given opportunity after opportunity and shits the bed with it, and fundamentally is as flawed as he could possibly be, stupid, head not in the game, just doesn't look like he gives a damn. I mean, to me, Molitor, if he takes a guy like that north with him, he loses credibility with this team.
I mean, here's the thing. It's his 3rd year. He's out of options at the end of the year. So this is a year you can move him around. I think you set a good precedent by setting him down at first, not to stay for very long, but think about the difference between AAA and the major leagues in terms of amenities, pay, everything. Like, if that alone doesn't motivate you to do stuff the right way, nothing will ever get through to you as far as motivation and preparation. You're in spring training with the big clubs, so you're getting that usual, you're getting taken care of. But if we're seeing that urgency for the first time now, where he finally is starting to get it, 3 for 5, I think it was 3 for 5 last night with single, double, triple. He made a fantastic catch. I think it was on opening day,
and he hit well in opening.
He took Andrew Albers deep, former Twin Andrew Albers. He's hitting from left and right side pretty well. I think, he's the kind of guy that by May 1 might be up. I don't think Shane Robinson is long for the Twins. With the way they're moving things around, he's just, it's a nice story to see a guy like Shane Robinson in the big leagues. But you can't have a team full of nice stories. This isn't a freaking Disney movie.
And what do you think about the nice stories? What do you think about these leashes? Because I think
nobody cares about nice stories anymore.
No, but Jordan Schaefer's got one. Shane Robinson's got a leash. Blaine Boyer's got a leash. Tim Stoffer. When do we see this turnover? Because to me, I don't think you can afford to have it go past May if it's like this.
I spoke to a really prominent Twins writer. I won't use his name because I don't want him to be implicated. But he thinks, Boyer's leash is short. I think he thinks that guys like Pinto, who's not only playing good offense or hitting well, but playing good defense. He picked a guy off at first base. He fielded a bunt nicely. He's kind of rounding his game into form. I think something has to be getting through to these guys finally, even if maybe like with Hicks' case, it wasn't imminent or obvious right away. I think that the leashes for some of the more established minor league guys to come up are shorter. The line for them, but at the same time, they're not going to treat these vets poorly either. So it's such a situation where they're in flux because I feel like the Twins don't make that many in-season moves either, cutting guys and that kind of thing either. So
I think we find out a lot by the end of April just because of how many AL Central teams we play in April. I mean, they could be buried.
If
by
they're
the end of
7 and
April.
18 at the end of April, bring everybody up. I mean, everybody that's on the 40.
Yeah.
And just run them out there. I mean, Buxton's not on the 40. I wouldn't bring Sano up at that point, but bring Pinto, bring up Presley. Presley's throwing the fire out of the ball, to use a Guardiism, down in AAA. I heard that Thielbar's velocity is down, and that's why he didn't make the team, and I get that. But bring up guys like Tonkin, and just, at least you'll be interesting. You don't be good, but you'll at least be interesting.
The word on Santana, I didn't understand how this works. He's going to be down in extended spring training. Now, I thought if you were suspended, you were suspended. Like you couldn't be part of the organization.
I think from anything. Go ahead.
Well, so when Manny Ramirez came back, this is when it kind of first became contentious. Wasn't like 2010 when he got suspended. He got popped for steroids with the Dodgers, I think it was. Mm-hmm. He got to come back and play in some minor league games, and everybody was like, wait a sec, what's the legality of this? And so now it's like there's a certain window, I believe, in the suspension where you can go to extended, you can lengthen out, get yourself into shape like another spring training situation. Now extended closes for the season in like July, so there's some differences depending on where you are in your return process. But then I think you can go on like a quasi-rehab stint, like a 2-week deal where you can pitch at whatever level they assign you to. They get a roster exemption for you, and boom, but the problem is then you take playing time from the kids too. So I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions.
Well, I mean, they have him scheduled back July 4th against Kansas City. I mean,
I saw that.
Yeah, so they've got this thing mapped out pretty well. With Santana, and they are going to in a year where they're not going to go anywhere. I'm not saying this is a good thing, but at least they did save like $7 million in salary. I mean,
if they have 50 losses by then, though, that's just going to be a debacle.
Well, my concern is that again, without without Nolasco and without Santana, that your bullpen is going to get so destroyed. I mean, because number one, they're bad, and number two, they're going to have too heavy of a workload, and it's just one of these deals where you're gonna bury some kids. You're gonna some guys with confidence are just gonna be unrecoverable.
Maybe they knew it was gonna be bad out of the gates, and they didn't want to bury the kids. They're burying these vets that they can basically cut the cord on. Maybe they didn't know the Santana thing. I wonder when the Twins knew the Santana thing, and they didn't know Nolasco was gonna get booed on opening day and was just gonna be an utter disaster. Even after last year, this is a guy that should be a competent big league pitcher, and I thought his stuff looked pretty good at the beginning of the game when he started, and then just kind of fell apart as the arm started to hurt. If that was believable.
Well, the talk about the off season. I mean, he worked his ass off.
He looked thin, I thought.
Yeah,
he looked great.
He lost weight. He gained body mass. He dropped
Puffy.
His body. He dropped his body fat percentage. I mean, he worked his ass off.
I wondered too. You touch on the bullpen and those guys getting exposed. As much as I'd like to see Alex Meyer at Target Field just like everyone else. If you saw him pitch opening day for Rochester, there's no way in hell he's ready. I mean, he walked 6 batters. He got the win. That tells you how much wins don't matter in baseball.
It was a repeat of last August.
And so you get into a situation where Mike Pelfrey sucks. Say Trevor May gets lit up for 4 more games or something like that. I don't want to see Alex Meyer promoted out of necessity, because, yeah, great, he has this high ceiling and whatnot, but as much as you want to say he's either destined for the rotation or the bullpen, you cannot come into a game and walk 4 guys. And if he comes into a bullpen and walks 4 guys, you just as much problem as if he's starting.
Here's the funny thing about Meyer, and it's all about how perception works in baseball. He did this exact thing in August, but since he had such a good body of work, his stats kind of propped it up. He goes out in his first start and does the exact same thing, and it's all of a sudden, maybe he's not ready. When anybody who was paying attention to what he was doing in August last year when he was walking everybody, wasn't giving up so many hits, but he wasn't himself, couldn't repeat his delivery. It's just funny when you've got that small sampling and those stats you can't fall back on because you don't have them behind you in the season. All of a sudden it kind of becomes more of a visible thing. And I think there's a lot more people that saw those stats on opening day for him and thought, geez, Alex Meyer might be further off than I thought.
Well, guys, here's where you can't have it both ways, though. Like you were talking earlier that you don't like how the Twins did things coming out of spring training, or it just doesn't make sense. The guys they went with, or they did this. But then you turn around and say, and you're right on both counts. I mean, it's ugly up here, and then you turn around and say that Alex Meyer's not ready. But that's the point. I mean, they've got to go one way or the other. I mean, you got to give them what if they're going to say, if they're going to make the call on Meyer that this guy is crucial to our future, and he is not coming until he is absolutely ready, because we're not going to mess with him in a year where we're not going anywhere, and we're going to do what we can with the guys we got. Then you got to understand that is the philosophy for 2015. I mean, that means there is a plan.
I think to a certain extent you have to differentiate, though, the bullpen from the starting rotation and understand or suggest that some of the bullpen arms that they went after guys that have low ceilings. Tim Stauffer, Blaine Boyer.
Stauffer's not a terrible reliever. He struck out 8.5 per 9 as a reliever in his career. But
a guy like Boyer that's bounced around like crazy. You can't expect him to come in and be a competent cornerstone of your bullpen. And when you start signing guys that you're going to rely upon like that, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure prior to even getting going.
It's like sending a message like, hey, kids, beat out these stiffs, earn your jobs, and then guess what? Target field is yours, but we're not going to hand you jobs.
Well, here's the thing, though, too. To me, judging a bullpen, it comes down to do they hold leads, and they haven't been in that position. I mean, they've been in mop up, they've been in damage control, they've been in our starters unraveling, we're kicking the ball around, so let's throw some. I mean, that's all it's been.
Everyone has worked mop up in this bullpen.
But
you do have feed in Perkins at the end, so I mean, if you get into the 8th inning with a 4-2 lead, I think you're okay. I really do.
Doesn't it scare you that in low leverage situations, they've continued to give up runs? I mean, Glenn Perkins gave up a run yesterday, too.
Closers always do that. I mean, I don't mean to throw an excuse.
Yeah, and I'm not trying
closers in non-safe situations are bizarre.
Weird.
And I'm not trying to throw Perkins under the bus because Perkins...
And he needed work, too.
Perkins is competent, but the fact that you have relievers coming in when it's a low leverage situation, the offense isn't scoring runs, your starter's already gotten blown out a little bit, and they can't come in and at least stop the bleeding, that scares me a little bit when you do have a lead that the same situation is going to play out.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I said earlier, that they don't have a guy to come in and just say enough and restore some order to the ballgame. But when you have a game that unravels like yesterday, sometimes those are the hardest ones to pitch in. I mean, again, this isn't to make an excuse. This is just something I gleaned from sitting in a bullpen for 6 years next to Rick Stelmazik, is that mop up sucks. I mean, because you got to treat it like it matters. But really, I mean, the game's unraveling. Your fielders are losing interest. They're kicking the ball all over the place. You're down by 6. People are heading for the exits. I mean, that's not an easy. It's not the easiest spot in the world to pitch. And you still need guys who can come in and be competent and professional in that situation. And the Twins teams of the past that had any level of success had that kind of a guy. As a matter of fact, Matt Carrera started out as that kind of a guy, and he eventually became an 8th inning guy.
Perkins did too, actually.
Yeah, you're right. And as a matter of fact, Johan Santana did too.
Yep.
I mean, it's the bottom of the totem pole, but I mean, it's a big league opportunity. You got to take it seriously. But it's not the easiest role, and it's been a disaster. And I think there are 3 or 4 or 5 guys out there who they're just gasoline. I mean gasoline on a fire, not throwing hard. There are 3 or 4 or 5 guys out there who you throw them into a game that's unraveling, it's going to become an inferno. I mean, it is what it is. But again, I don't think it's fair to completely judge a bullpen until we see them in some game holding and saving situations, which they have not had yet. And that is the number one role of a bullpen, is to hold on to a win. Yeah, you want to keep them close when you're losing. You want to get some quick, good, solid innings and mop up and not have to fry 3 or 4 guys. those are the things they're failing at badly. But I would like to see how they handle a lead here and there. I mean, before I completely throw them all under the bus.
Yeah, and they just have to get to that point. The offense just isn't doing that.
Yeah, they're a ways off.
And looking for that lead, and we touched on it earlier about April being tough. I just brought it up here. We have Kansas City, Cleveland, Kansas City, Seattle, Detroit, and the White Sox to end the month.
And all teams either in the division or Seattle's probably the best, most talented team in the American League.
Right. There is no point where you can point on a calendar and say, hey, the Twins have a shot at winning that series. Well, not right now.
And to this point, the starting pitching has done nobody any favors. I mean,
no.
Worst ERA in baseball.
Well, you realize we are last in Major League Baseball in runs scored, last in Major League Baseball in runs allowed. I mean, we've allowed more than anybody and scored less than anybody.
I feel like that's a bad formula.
Yes, it's hard to win when you are the worst at everything.
Through 7 games, I think they're minus 29.
It's Maloney. I know it's kind of an iffy stat, but what's that?
Couldn't hear what you were talking about.
Oh, we're talking about the Twins. You sound like you're from out east. You from Boston? What happened to the Bruins? How are the Bruins on the playoffs?
You can't win every year.
Yeah, well, what about BU? What if it was a bad week in Boston?
Oh, man.
Well, yeah, I know.
Go Red Sox, though, right?
Woo. Yeah. My least.
Tom Brady? We're going to talk about Tom Brady?
Did you see him taking hacks in the batting cage yesterday, Tom Brady?
Did you see that?
Yeah. He had a bad swing. What's he left-handed? What's he hitting left-handed for? Is it? So he throws right, he catches, he hits. Okay, that's not that uncommon to throw right and bat left. That's not that. Yeah, you're right.
Joe Mauer.
Yeah, Ken Herbeck. I mean, there's a lot of them out there.
There you go.
I love Tom Brady. I mean, I've always said that Tom Brady. If anybody in the world has a right to be an asshole, it's Tom Brady. I mean, he's got all the money, he's got the looks, he's got the supermodel.
Plus, he was a sixth-round pick.
This guy could be just the biggest. He's got the right to be the biggest dick in the world, and he's not. He's a good dude. I mean, he's like one of these guys. People almost want to find reasons to not like, but there aren't any. There are no reasons not to like Tom Brady.
Not unless you're jealous of success.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I just. Yeah, unless you're a Colts fan. Maybe.
Is there hope for the?
No,
there's no hope though.
No, not this year. Not this year.
Nope.
No, they're ways off. They're ways off.
There you go. Right, exactly.
They're gonna take a cornerback.
Yeah, they are.
Cornerback out of I think Michigan State.
I hope they draft one of the Pats because the Pats going on for them. I think with all 18 picks.
Oh, love it.
So hey, why don't we go ahead and get our last break in and come back and just
Thank you.
Take it to the top. It's a Twins Tuesday. It's the Jeff Dubay Show. I'm Jeff Dubay, Ted Schwetzler, Brandon Warren, Jason McGovern. We're at Floyd's in Victoria, where we will be hopefully each and every Tuesday through the Twin season. And this fantastic outdoor patio setting on a beautiful day like this. It's a great crowd out here. You got to get out and check it out. The half-pound BLT. I think they just call it the loaded BLT, but they are specific in the description that there's a half pound of bacon, and I ate every stinking ounce of it.
What are you drinking tonight, Jason?
The Minnesota Pubcast with Jason and Molly.
I'm drinking a Liftbridge Hop Dish.
It's Pub Talk from a Minnesotan perspective.
I'm always really proud of where I'm from. I'm super proud of Minnesota, and I think Minneapolis is awesome. I think St. Paul is awesome. I think they're a really awesome cultural epicenter.
With great local guests.
So the other voice you hear in the room today is Jerry Fagerberg from the City Pages. Talk about the official Minnesota Tall Boy, which your piece is on the cover of the City Pages today.
It is on the cover, came out today.
Talking movies.
All right, you saw Boyhood. I need to hear what you thought.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Sports.
A guy who was undrafted knew what was coming.
And everything else you talk about at the pub.
Let's not pretend like we know what we're talking about.
Well, what do you think I do every show?
The Minnesota Pubcast with Jason McGovern and Molly Burke. Listen at mnpubcast.com or subscribe on iTunes.
We want to just find meaning in life.
With Suhan Unfiltered, sports columnist for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Jim Suhan presents in-depth conversations with the best writers and sports personalities in the area. Suhan brings professional journalism flavor without the verbal censoring. Find out what unfiltered really means. Only on the Alive and Social Network. SuhanUnfiltered.com.
To the bottom, I go back to the top of the slide. Where I stop and turn and I go to the right. Till I get to the bottom and I see you again.
Jeff Dubay Show. Jeff Dubay Show on a Twins Tuesday. I continue to spit food as I talk. Really obnoxious. What the hell's wrong with me?
Nothing new.
Oh, man. And I do want you to want me. Or what was that? What was that line? Don't you want me to love you? I do want you to want me to love you. Paul McCartney? Well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? All right, let's get back to the Twins talk. And the disaster that is the start of this season. When you have a team like this, when a roster that's constructed like this, a first-year manager, and guys at the big league level at least that are inexperienced in their coaching positions, I thought it was important to have some stability. And the reason I felt they had a chance to have some foundation to what they were doing this year is because I believed in that starting rotation. I mean, I thought that on paper that was I think a well above average starting rotation. I mean, the way it was constructed coming into the season. I mean, you got I think Hughes is a legitimate top of the rotation guy. Maybe not an ace on a contender, but a number two guy on a contender. I mean, he's a top of the rotation kind of a guy. In the season he had last year, people are willing to follow. I mean, we got track record on Santana. Yeah, I mean, it just the way it's set up. I mean, the fact that Pelfrey couldn't crack it and he had a pretty good spring. I thought that that's the chance that they have to not fall apart. You've got some guys who can give you some innings, and just you got guys showing up at the ballpark every day thinking they have a chance to win. I mean, you can't underestimate that. When you're showing up at the ballpark, and I remember when Mike Dyer got called up in 1988, 89. This golden arm, electric stuff, couldn't throw strikes. And I mean, I was standing in the runway during the national anthem in the dugout there with Herbeck and Gaetti, and Herbeck just looked up at Gaetti and goes, "What do you think? This guy going to throw any strikes tonight?" I mean, cause they just looked dejected and looked down at the ground and kicked dirt. He goes, "Fuck, I doubt it." I mean, it's like pitching. that we talked a lot on Wild Wednesday, how bad goaltending just took the belief out of a team. When Kemper played, the Wild had no faith that they were even going to be competitive. Pitching does the same thing. I mean, if you got guys who are going to put you out of the game by the third inning on a nightly basis and send your bullpen into chaos, the whole team just unravels. I mean, it is what it is. You need to have guys who are going to show up on a daily basis, give you 5 to 8 good solid innings. I mean, and give you a chance to win on a day in, day out basis. And going into the season, I thought they had it. I really did.
Yeah, I think Fangraphs had them pegged as like the number 15 or number 16 rotation in terms of projections. And for fun, they had the Royals at number 29. So that shows you how things can change drastically when guys fall off the radar like the Twins have.
And how important a bullpen is.
Exactly. I mean, it's a symbiotic relationship between the rotation and the bullpen. You can protect your bullpen by throwing extra innings and giving guys good matchups, but at the same time, the Royals, even with a bad rotation, can be bailed out by such a fantastic bullpen. And it's not a fantastic bullpen just because there's 1 or 2 good guys out there. There's 5, 6, 7 guys and a couple guys on the taxi squad between AAA Omaha and Kansas City that can save their butts. And Ryan Madsen, who came in yesterday, former closer, fantastic pitcher who went through some arm stuff, they brought him in. That's the kind of reclamation projects good teams take on. They don't take on guys
like Blaine Boyer or Tim Stauffer.
I mean, so they're taking on reclamation projects like projects that were like former closers, guys that used to throw 95. Because you know what you do? If they can't play baseball anymore, you just say sorry, thanks, give them the termination pay, and they're gone.
And you understand what their floor is. A former closer's floor is still a hard thrower that throws strikes.
Assuming he's healthy.
Yeah. Where if you take on a guy like Blaine Boyer, Tim Stauffer, even Brian Dunsing, who's been with the organization, whatever, that, their floor is a soft-tossing bullpen arm that you're going to have to try and find a spot for him. That's going to get exposed a lot more than somebody who throws hard and pounds a strike zone.
But the Twins aren't going to construct a roster for 2015 the way the Royals are. I mean, the Royals are win now.
Right.
Win now,
Oh,
win
yeah.
now,
Oh,
win.
yeah.
And they should be. I mean,
but at the same time, if you invest in chips like that, you can flip them for interesting pieces like they did with Sam Foltz. So there's some level of like, I understand why they didn't go out and get a center fielder if they thought Hicks might not make the team. But at the same time, I think they probably had more trust in Hicks in January than they did in March, and I think that was pretty evident.
Yeah, and to a certain extent too. I mean, it's not like investing in a bullpen needs to be a monetary process. I think it's more a savvy process. It's about finding the Ryan Madsen rather than going out and getting the Jonathan Papelbon. I mean, you don't need to go spend multiple millions on a bullpen arm. You need to go get the bullpen arm that you think has some upside left in it.
And Detroit hasn't figured that out, obviously.
No, without a doubt. They keep spending on names.
Yep.
Well, so the question is then, how powerless at this point is Paul Mahler? And I just think he's.
I wonder if that's not. And I wrote a piece on that today.
When I say powerless, I don't mean like that he doesn't have a voice in the organization. I just mean that this team needed a solid rotation to keep. That rotation was going to be the glue, and he loses 2 guys right away, and he's got other guys who just don't look like they're like May was a little sketchy yesterday. I mean, the bullpen's already been exposed. It's already been taxed. It's going to get worse. So what can he do right now?
He's at the mercy of his roster. And
yes, correct.
And I don't think that he necessarily has total control on his roster, which makes it a little bit more difficult because he's dealing with differing opinions from inside of the organization and whatnot. But he was dealt a tough hand to start, and I think the way that they have decided to go about things and choosing a safe route or what they perceive to be a safe route rather than a potential higher ceiling route has caused a microcosm of downward effects.
They're sending him to war with one of those American Gladiator sticks with like the Q-tip looking thing. That's basically where he's at right now. Is you need to go to like a gunfight with one of these these sticks and just fight your way out of here. Like you're a cat backed up against the wall with a bunch of dogs barking at you, and you got no prayer. And you could tell he's frustrated. He was obviously taking a bath from Sid yesterday after the game, but you could tell he was frustrated because there's things he wants to say and there's things he could say, but then there's the diplomatic, good man, good baseball man, good company man that he has to be, and he's in a tough spot.
His luck is god awful. I mean, to have what happened with Santana and Nolasco, you can't even make that up.
Well, everyone's blaming Terry Ryan about Santana. That's preposterous.
Ridiculous. And people still think Nolasco was a bad signing. Well, it's so easy after the fact to look and say, well, the guy got hurt. He didn't give you anything.
$50 million is nothing in baseball.
Well,
anyway.
and not to mention the guy had gone, for the last 10 years is one of the top innings guys in the National League. I mean, and it's somebody who was a key cog in a Dodgers pennant. I mean, like lights out down the stretch after they acquired him. I mean, he put up numbers. He the double-digit win. I mean, he wasn't an ace.
And even if he regresses to the point of a 5.0 ERA and is still giving you 200 innings, he hasn't given that to the Twins. I mean, his ERA is north of 6, probably.
He hasn't been Kevin Correa.
Yeah.
He hasn't even been Kevin Correa.
Well, he hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been healthy for a day.
Right.
And that's the problem. And then he goes. I mean, for the first time in his career, he goes down, with a pretty legit injury and misses a significant amount of time and doesn't have a big innings year. So he goes in the offseason and rededicates himself to this crazy workout plan where he basically remade his body. I mean, and they were talking about how he had the extra zip on the fastball, extra movement on this and everything. I mean, the spring training was like a dream world for him. I mean, throwing a little harder, throwing with a little more movement, throwing with a little more control, stronger lower body, stronger core, stronger legs, better drive. I mean, all this shit. And then he gets in his first start of the year, and then something tears. I mean, you just can't make it up.
Right, and it's when bad luck meets bad decision making that you just have a disaster. And if you look everywhere you look, it's a disaster with this club.
I will say, to give Nolasco credit this year, I am happy and good on him that he decided to, hey, I have an injury to deal with here after a couple innings than last year where he kept trotting himself out there, letting himself get blown up start after start, and then at the end of the season saying, yeah, I was hurt or what. It looks bad. Deal with it when you have it, just because at least you save face, I mean...
Well, and pitching hurt and making it worse doesn't do anybody any good.
It's not. There's no benefit that's going to come from that.
No, they seem to think that this is strictly a 15-day kind of a thing, and that he'll come off on schedule and be ready to go. I'm always now going to be a little bit leery about a guy who's had arm trouble in back-to-back years, and then is having it like pretty much out of the gate both years. I mean that.
And they try to say, everybody, Verlander thought it was 15 days too, and they said they're going to announce a decision on Thursday. I mean,
yeah, you never know.
15 days for a pitcher, that's 2 starts. It's an elbow thing. Tommy John is, standard. 15 days is
Especially
tough for a pitcher. Yeah, it's tough for a pitcher to come back.
Yeah, they said no structural damage when they MRI'd it. But I don't know if that means that there's not even the beginning of a tear, or I know it means that it hasn't popped. I mean, if it pops, you got to do it. You got to have the surgery. But when they say no structural damage, I'm not sure exactly what they're saying by that. I mean,
like inflammation, I guess.
Okay. I mean, I never realized when a player had and when an NFL running back has a sprained knee, his ligament is torn.
Yeah, sprain is a tear.
It hasn't torn all the way through. Yep. I always thought a sprain was just like it got stretched out or something messed up. But then when Robert Smith blew it out at Dallas Thanksgiving. What was that? Moss's rookie year. I was 98. I was down there for the game, and I went down, and Zamberletti told me that it's just a sprain, and then he said it's torn. I'm like, well, wait a second. Did he tore it, or is it a sprain?
Because you just sitting on the sideline, he looked like he was fine.
Yeah, that's what a sprain is. Sprain is the thing is torn. It just hasn't gone all the way through. It just so it hasn't popped. So when they say, sprained elbow, sprained ligament, it's torn.
Bad news.
But again, they said no structural damage with Nolasco. I get sick of it. We're not doctors. We sit there talk about ligaments and shoulders and labrums and rotator cuffs, and I don't know. It's a guy that was a horse for 10 effing years in the National League. Just an absolute horse, an absolute bell cow. Not an ace, but just a reliable, solid guy. And he comes here and he's hurt out of the gate 2 years in a row. That is bad luck.
You can't make it up.
No, people consider and say, oh, you got excuses for everything, blah, blah, blah. Terry Ryan apologist. That Santana and Nolasco this year, I really feel for Paul Mahler. That is unbelievable luck out of the gate in your first season as a manager. And that was the foundation. That was going to be if there was going to be a saving grace to this team into the season, it was going to be the normalcy that you were going to be able to attain by having a rotation that could go out and give you 5-6 innings on a daily basis and not throw you into utter chaos on a game by game basis.
Well, when your foundation fails, your structure falls. That's basically what we're seeing right now.
Very prophetic. Yeah, he's a wise man over there. Got Socrates on there.
He really is.
But he's right. He's right. Now, any thoughts on the week that is ahead for the Twins?
It doesn't get any easier. Obviously, this division's difficult, and they'll be at home. Cleveland coming into town, who's obviously got some pretty good starting pitching, pretty good bullpen, pretty good offense, and that's my team to my pick to win the division still. I'm not as impressed by the Royals as I probably should be.
We do get the back end, I think, of Cleveland's rotation.
Well, Carrasco's starting today.
Yep.
So that would mean they
two?
It's been a long
Or
time
is he
since I got
3?
the back end. Man, oh man.
Oh man. So they'll get Carrasco on the third start, I'm sure.
Okay. So we might get Kluber then.
Yeah, Kluber and Carrasco are the guys you want to miss in that rotation. But top to bottom, they've got a really nice rotation, really good bullpen. And so they're not going to be a picnic. You got to start winning. Like they always talk about, you want to be competitive and win series. You don't need the sweeps. You need 2 or 3.
Correct.
They're not going to get back to 500 by sweeping the Indians or sweeping the Mariners. But you win 2 or 3, you split a 4-gamer, and you go to battle. Maybe you can be near 500 in May sometime, but you're not going to get them all back at once.
And even putting the record aside, even just have some games where you are not in complete scramble mode, where you're not in complete wear out my bullpen mode, where I don't have to use 5 pitchers, where I don't have to, where I don't give up double-digit runs.
Yeah, this is some high school varsity baseball business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not professional MLB business.
I mean, I know this sounds dumb, but go and lose a couple of 4-2 games, and save some of the guys in the bullpen and look like a major league.
Put
team.
some runners on it and threaten in the ninth.
Yeah. I mean, just look like a big league team. Have a chance. Give yourself a chance. Like yesterday, they gave themselves a chance, or at least they appeared they were going to, and then it just unraveled. Just play some nice, normal baseball. I mean,
but has it really come to this? Like, isn't that just kind of sad that it's come to this?
Well, but when you're at this stage of the season and your bullpen is this bad and this heavily taxed already, you've got to start with baby steps, and it's got to come with some innings from your starters and some normalcy from your bullpen.
There were actually 2 bullpens that came into yesterday's action with worse ERAs than the Twins, if you can believe it. So, they haven't taken as bad of a bath as the White Sox, and it was one other club, and so it could be worse. It could get worse. I hope.
Well,
it doesn't.
guys, I mean, not just because we want to see the team win, but wouldn't it be nice to see them go come out of the 6th inning a couple times with a lead and see how the bullpen is under those circumstances?
Well, and you thought that you'd have a chance. They opened it up with a run. They got to Duffy early, and Duffy's obviously a very difficult pitcher. He's one of the better ones on the Royals staff. But at the same point, it just they gave up the home run to Vargas. One more home run than he hit at Target Field all last year. Morales. I get them mixed up. One more home run than Morales hit at Target Field as a member of the Twins.
It was such a bomb.
Yeah, and just an absolute jack job. And so, but by the time they had the lead, it was gone, just basically like that. And then they started putting together really good at-bats against Trevor May. The third time through, they were absolutely pounding him. So, I mean, even though the defense failed him, you get guys like Kane driving to baseball and Salvador Perez driving the baseball to the outfield, and Escobar just smoking the ball. May wasn't fooling anybody that third time around, but that's a lot of starters. You can say that about a lot of veteran guys too.
Well, Twins Tuesdays off to a flying start here from Floyd's in Victoria. I mean, I can't tell you enough what a nice, great setting this is. This fantastic sun-soaked patio. We're in a nice shady spot in this thatched hut where they got the stage set up. Just a great place for outdoor dining, casual dining, beer, too, whatever, a little happy hour. So we want folks to get out here and join us on Tuesdays. If you're in the West Metro, Victoria is not far. It's 5 minutes from Eden Prairie on Highway 5. I mean, not even 5 minutes. It's 3 miles. So if you're driving 60, it's 3 minutes. And there's one intersection in Victoria, and Floyd's is on it. So I mean, there's no excuse, no reason. And I'll tell you right now, though, if you were here, you wouldn't get a table. I mean,
that's true.
It is full. It's fantastic weather. It's a great day. But we'll be out here every Tuesday as long as they'll keep having us. Twins Tuesday, thanks to Ted Schwetzler. Thanks to Brandon Warren. Thanks to Jason McGovern, Patrick Disher. I'm Jeff Dubay. And we'll catch you next week. Again, Twins Tuesday from Floyd's.